Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen.
With me today is abundance teacher and money coach, Jody Lynn Craven.
This is your daily dose of happy. We are so happy you decided to join us today.
Jody Lynn, I was just realizing this is a kind of a milestone moment, isn't it? Because this is the last time you and I are going to do the LOA Today podcast together. The podcast will continue with the shows that I do with Joel and Anne Marie on Mondays.
Yeah.
But next week, you and I are launching our new money podcast.
Ooh.
A lot of fun.
We are.
Really nice. Do you want to give any teases on that? I was kind of thinking about that. I wasn't sure what to tease with, but maybe you have something in mind.
Ooh, off the top of my head, a deep, thought-provoking conversation about what money is now and what the future will be.
Well, that's good. Yeah, that summarizes it very well. Because that's really how we put the whole thing together in the first place. Listeners probably know we have conversations after shows, right? And that's one of the things you and I have talked about a lot is what goes on with money and what the current situation is with fiat money and what's going on with Bitcoin and what's going on with the different monetary situations with the central banks. So like this is like an extension of the conversations you and I have, except that everybody else will be able to listen in.
100%. And if I could add something else,
yeah,
it will be exciting instead of boring conversations about money. And we're not going to get into the technical weeds of things so that you feel lost or overwhelmed. That's where a lot of people stop listening.
Right.
We're going to explain things in a way that makes sense.
If we start doing the weeds, well, first of all, we won't have any listeners, but secondly, we won't have any interest because we won't want to do it either.
Exactly. That stuff can get pretty boring. So
very quickly. Yeah, I mean, we may mention stuff occasionally, but even when we mention it, we'll bring it in at like the third grade level. So
exactly.
So
100%.
But today we're finishing together our last episode doing LOA Today with our guest Pamela Cass, who is the author of The Quiet Gift and a just released book called Meaningful Success, which we're going to learn about in just a minute. But Pamela, first of all, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. And how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me.
We're glad to have you and give everybody an idea of not just who you are, but how you got to the point where you're not only writing books, but doing the other things that you're doing to be supportive to the various things people go through in life.
How did I get here? Well, I was born
that helps.
A long time ago.
Good place to start.
I think it's the culmination of all the adversity I've gone through in my life has brought me to where I am today, where I coach people and I speak and I train, and I still have a very active real estate business, which I keep thinking I want to walk away from, but I get referrals from so many people across the country because I teach and speak all over the country that it just doesn't make sense to stop it yet. So it's really all the adversity that I've gone through that's led me to this place, because I walked away from a 6-figure corporate job, having no idea how I was going to support myself as a single mom, and built the business that I have today out of sheer necessity and passion to help other people that have found themselves in a position where they are burned out in a job and they're afraid to walk away from it. And so that's kind of what I do now. I'm pretty passionate about it.
It's great when you find a passion like that too, because you found that, and you found it in a particular career path. That's something not everybody is able to pull off. So congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, Jody Lynn knows about that one too. She has a somewhat similar background, and she's a money coach, and she also does financial planning and so forth. So kind of a similar thing, because her thing has always been about helping people with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to hear the burnout story.
Yeah, right. Let's go for the real nitty gritty.
Let's go into the dirt.
Let's go into the dirt.
Let's get into the muck of it. Well, it was really interesting because the burnout ultimately was because of this belief that I had because I have dyslexia, that I had to work harder, be harder, do more than anybody else to prove that I was worth and was able to be where I was in that position, because I started in that leadership position with everybody. All the other managers had been in there for 15 to 30 years. And I step in, and in a few months, I'm running 2 offices, and then I made the vice president of the company. And so I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to figure out that I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I'm an imposter. And so that just meant I had to work harder. And unfortunately, in doing that, I ended up, it was one evening I was at a dentist appointment, just getting my teeth cleaned, and they took my blood pressure and it was 158 over 104. And she thought the machine was broken at first. And she's like, oh, let me get a new one. I think maybe the battery's dead. And so she gets a new one and she doesn't, and it's the same. And she's like, is your blood pressure always this high? And I'm like, well, I'm at the dentist. It's only when I'm at the dentist it's high. I'm stressed out. I hate being here. Well, she did not think that was funny at all. She just got real quiet and just started cleaning my teeth. So I'm like, ooh, okay. But I kind of realized in that moment, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a cancer survivor. I survived an abusive marriage. I was a single mom. And here I am with a blood pressure that could potentially lead to a stroke, a heart attack, heart disease, you name it. And if I didn't change something, I was going to not be there to enjoy this life that I was trying to build. And I knew that walking away, I couldn't just walk away because we have these patterns. And when you get to a place where you work at that level all the time, that's what your body knows. It's our normal. And so if I were just to walk away, I would have just gotten into another role and I would have been in the same place I was, because the cancer was another wake up call. I get a call, cancer. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a single mom. What am I going to do? And so for a while I was good, but then I just fell right back into my old patterns. And so I had to do a serious pattern interrupt, which meant I had to completely overhaul what my belief was about success and what it meant to me. And that required me getting a coach and really doing some personal work, meditation and breath work, and all of those things had to be incorporated so that I could have that pattern interrupt and have the life I have now.
I'm fascinated by the fact that you went through cancer, you went through an abusive marriage, but it was a blood pressure reading that got you to say, okay, I've reached the limit.
Yeah. I'm a little slow. I'm always like, you know what? I have to have things happen like 15. I'm like, I have to be like pushed off a cliff before I get the clue, the message.
Yeah.
I'm like, somebody's telling me something here, and I just didn't listen.
Yeah, I call that the 2x4 method. The universe is tapping on your shoulder, and they push you on the shoulder and all that.
And that's me. I'm a little slow.
Hey, that's me too. I totally get it. I'm sympathetic.
I don't think it's like being slow, though. I think that it's really easy to fall back into the way that you used to do things, especially if it brought success in whatever that definition is. Like, I feel that very strongly, like the go. It's really funny. I identify with the belief that you were talking about, but not because of having dyslexia. Mine was, I had to work harder because I'm a woman.
Yep. Yeah.
And because I'm young, and that was always driving me. But I think instead of it being you being slow and not meeting the moment, I think it's really easy to just fall back into the way that we used to do things, because some of those things you're really good at. I was really good at hustling.
I like it.
Yeah.
And you like it. And it's interesting because you get into this pattern to the point where you're like, you have a day off and you're like, okay, I just want to get back to work. Like, I don't know what to do with myself. So then I'm like cleaning the house and doing the errands and like not stopping.
Yeah.
And when I stopped, I've had this, like, my body was like, what are we doing? What is this?
It was more terrifying than the go piece of it. I understand exactly what you were talking about. When I went through this awakening, I felt like I got multiple hits by the 2x4, nothing as catastrophic as like a cancer diagnosis or anything like that, but enough to be like, oh, I should wake up. But that transition in between, like, I started with really small steps because my nervous system was so out of whack. And it started with like 2 hours off on a Sunday.
Yes.
That's where I started because I couldn't take more than that because of all of my belief systems. So I had to unpack all of those things that were driving everything to be able to be like, okay, my life's not going to fall apart if I take 2 hours on a Sunday off. Yeah. Like, I was working 7 days a week, 12-hour days, 13-hour days, sun up to sundown. Like, I was giving her, and I didn't know how to slow down. So that's how I started. So
I did I did a silent retreat last fall for the first time ever. And it was hilarious leading up to it because I'm like, I'm not going to really do this. Like, they won't know, because you could do it at the event center or you could do it at your house. I'm like, I'll do it at home. They won't know if I check my phone. It'll be totally fine. And then I'm getting closer to it. I'm like, you know what? No, it's like 3 days. I'm going to go all in on this. And this silent retreat was like, you could not talk. You could not listen to music. You couldn't listen to books. You couldn't listen to anything. You couldn't read. You couldn't write. You could not do chores. You could work out. You could sleep. You could meditate. And that's it. And I literally talking myself out of this leading up to it. And it was so interesting going into it. It took me 24 hours before my nervous system completely relaxed enough that I could actually meditate. Because every time, because we would meditate for 45 minutes and then we take a 20-minute break, meditate for 45 minutes, 20-minute break. And so the first 24 hours, my brain is like, boop, 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 boop. Is it over yet? What are we doing? What are we doing? What should I do? Oh my gosh. And it was awful. and to the point where middle of the second day, I physically felt sick. Like, I think it was, my body was like, what is happening that we are just completely not doing anything? And once I got past that, then I was able to meditate and get into that quiet space. And it was life-changing. I'm actually doing another one in July, doing it 3 days. And then I go into a book writing retreat. And so I'm working on the third book, which was about my marriage and the cancer and the burnout and all of that stuff. So yeah, so now I'm a big proponent. I don't think I can do more than 3 days, but I know people do it for like a week. But it was really powerful. If you ever get an opportunity, it's a pretty cool reset.
And just to clarify, you weren't even talking during that time.
You can't do anything.
Wow.
Can't talk, listen. And I'm a big writer, journaler. Yeah. Could not. I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? So I slept. I mean, I think the first night, I slept 10 hours. I've never slept 10 hours before. Yeah. But it's amazing when you can calm your nervous system enough to allow yourself to just feel that peace. I recommend it to anyone that is kind of that high performing person that constantly is going, which is most people, I would say.
I think so.
I was just realizing too, even the sleeping was something to do.
Yeah. 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 Because I'm like, well, I had nothing. I was like, well, I got nothing to do. I can't talk to anybody. I might as well just go to bed. So yeah, it was great. It was pretty wild.
So you're really spending those first 24 to 36 hours giving yourself a permission to do nothing.
Yes. And let me tell you, I made the big mistake of, we were done at 7:00 on Sunday, turning my phone on. And in real estate, like the influx of text messages and emails, and a client that was not looking ended up getting under contract with the agent that was covering with me. And I was just like, and it was this instant rush of stress. And so this year, or when I do it in July, I am going to be off till Friday, the next Friday after the book writing retreat. I'm just going to tell people I'm going camping in the woods and I have no service. That's what I'm going to say.
Unavailable
for that entire time. Because you got to think about it. It used to be the day you could travel abroad and your phone wouldn't work. And now, I mean, I've been on high-speed trains in France and my phone's ringing and I'm like, how is that even possible? we can't even unplug all the way across the world.
I don't know if you guys had it when you were growing up, essentially, but back in the day when I was young, we had the party line, like where everybody was like daisy chained together. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, how do I not know this? But I think you're younger than me.
Yeah, but I live in rural Canada, so
it's a rural thing.
Yeah, it's a rural thing. Yeah. But literally, everything's daisy chained together, so you could pick up the phone and then somebody else would be talking or something like that.
Okay, dude. I did not have any access to anything like that.
Yeah, it's just crazy how things have really changed.
They have very changed. They didn't have cell phones when I was young either.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't even know if my parents knew where we were most of the time. We were wandering around in the woods and came home at dark.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, a cell phone was something that happened at the local jail.
Yes. Remember payphones? Like I don't even know.
Yeah.
I don't even know if my kids would even know how to use a payphone or what one was.
My niece actually asked me that question when we pulled up in front of a store in one of the small towns around here. She was like, she's 6 or something. She's like, Auntie, what's that? And I'm like, it's a payphone. And she's like, what's a payphone? And I explain it to her. And she's like, but it's not really private because you're like right by the doors. They should have an elevator that takes you to the roof so you can have a private conversation.
Oh my God.
Okay, girl, sure. But she had no idea what it was. And I mean, I think lots of kids today would have no idea, like, what is that thing? Or a rotary phone? Like, how do you
They probably wouldn't even know how to dial it. And then you have to stay connected to the wall.
Yeah. You can't walk around. Yeah. Oh, things
kids today.
Yeah.
Yeah, the coiled cord that used to get twisted on itself, right? That's like, long gone, but anybody who's under 25 has no idea what that is.
No. And remember that big rubber thing that would be on it so that you could
so you put
the
on your
phone
shoulder,
on
right?
Well, the secretaries had them back in the day.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah, they didn't have the great headphones and all the things that they have today.
No.
When it got replaced by earbuds, it was like, huh? What's that? I remember the first time I saw an earbud and I thought, like, is that a Martian? I don't understand.
Yeah.
And I have a tech background. I mean, that's what made it really bad.
That is funny. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
But yeah, this whole thing about doing the silence is a fascinating idea, because what you're really learning to do is to focus in on your connection to you.
Yeah.
Because you don't have anything else to connect to in that kind of scenario. There's nothing else. And if you're not used to doing that, that could be pretty terrifying.
It was, yeah, it really was. And I don't know how many of us actually just sit in stillness. I mean, since that silent retreat, when I take my dog on a walk, my phone stays at the house. I'm like, you know what, it'll be fine. So I try not to take that with me. I try not to have the TV on. I try to have that downtime and less screen time. But it's hard. It's hard when we're used to, it's the same. It's those patterns.
Yeah.
This is what we do. This makes, it's the numbing. I can just scroll.
And I love your intention. You're going to do it again this summer, but this time you're going to actually take time off afterward. In other words, you're going to get yourself into a neural frame of mind where everything is calm, and then you're going to enjoy it.
Yes.
I mean, that's quite a thing.
Yeah. I'll let you know how I do.
Okay.
Yeah, please do.
Might be terrifying. It might be interesting. So, but.
Well, you've been through it once before. I mean, how long ago was it?
Sometime last year, September last year, maybe.
Well, I mean, it's recent enough that your nervous system remembers it.
Yes. And I'm able to meditate now. Like that's
really good.
Whereas before I was never able to meditate. I was like, this is a waste of time because I'm just thinking about all the stuff I need to do. But now I can completely quiet all the chatter. And I think that weekend kind of helped me be able to figure out how to do that.
Well, you're also reminding me of when I went through my thing to eliminate that, what they call the monkey talk in the brain. And when it finally went away, first of all, it was an amazing relief. And my life experience did change substantially from that point on because that was gone. Yeah. But after you've been off of that for a while, not addicted to it anymore, you almost forget what that's like.
Yes, you do.
It's really a very different way of experiencing life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And not a good one.
No, not at all. Because you miss a lot.
Yeah.
You miss a lot.
Isn't that interesting? You have all that going on and you miss so much.
You totally, I mean, I realized how much, because we couldn't do anything. And so we'd have these breaks and I'd go sit on my front porch and I would be like, well, usually I'd be scrolling or I'd be talking to somebody or something. And so then I would just sit there and I'd listen to the birds. And I swear a hummingbird came and like went to my flowers on my patio. And I was like, that has probably happened before. And I've just never noticed it.
Yeah.
And so it's just interesting. It's like, I think there's a lot of stuff we don't notice because we're so in our head and we're so busy just doing all the time instead of just being. So, yeah.
And Jody, I didn't even know that thing about the 2 hours on Sunday. I don't think you ever told me that one. That really, I mean, I knew you'd gone through some stuff, but that shows how much it was affecting you to have all that activity just dominating your life.
I was totally addicted to it.
Yeah.
this is the way that I do things. And I really thought my life would fall apart if I took time off.
Wow.
So I had to start really slow and, and rewrite the rules for myself. Pam, you were talking about like rewriting the belief systems and the overhaul of what success meant to you. It was that. And all these other things, like if I don't answer my phone when you call, it doesn't mean I'm a bad person or that I'm an awful, financial advisor or like an awful leader. I had all of these beliefs that were driving everything else that was causing this panic attack when I needed time for myself and I wouldn't be available to the outside world. All these things would come up. And I really had a tough time sorting through all of them. It took a while to get to the place where, okay, I can go somewhere without my phone, or I can, it's reasonable to call somebody back the next day. That's okay. But back then it wasn't. I needed to answer my phone when it rang.
Yeah. And that's our scarcity, that belief that, oh my gosh, if I don't work 24/7, I'm going to lose business. If I don't respond to them right away, they're going to pick somebody else. And all of those
in the high sales environment, like financial services or real estate, because things are or can be so transactional. But I also realized that all of it's a belief system. So the people that, that I want the people that want to work with me, that are like seeking me out, that like the confidence that I have, that like the customer service, that like the personal touch that I give them, all the things that I bring to the table. I started to build that up in my own mind as more important than just answering the phone every time they call. If these things they can value these things. These are my people. They value these things. And if they don't, then it wasn't meant to be and something else will come.
Yeah. And I love that. And I always tell people, I'm like, I don't want to work with a financial planner, a realtor, a doctor, or a lawyer that's available 24/7, because they must not be that good, because they're not that busy if they're able to answer their phone all the time. And so once I got past that, I'm like, no, I'm in high demand, and I have boundaries. I have, hours that I work. And when I do contracts, I don't do the midnight deadline. I do a 7 p.m. deadline, because I'm like, any decisions after 7 p.m. are not good decisions. So I change it. So I have gotten to the place where, like you, if they don't respect my boundaries, I don't want to work with them.
Exactly. Someone else will come along.
Yeah.
Fill that spot. Yeah,
absolutely. And they will be miserable because they were answering their calls 24/7.
Yep.
So, yep.
And of course, your relationship with those people also changes qualitatively.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah. You know what? It's really funny, because when I stopped answering my phone and like buying into that belief system that I need to be that type of person, nothing really changed outside of the fact that I set a boundary and then people got it. Like nobody flew off the handle that I didn't call them back, or I didn't answer when they called me, or if I said, hey, I'll get back to you in the next 24 hours or whatever. Nobody was upset. No, I didn't lose clients because of it. Like I didn't lose friends. Like all the things that I thought were going to happen did not happen.
Yeah. Well, it's the stories that we tell ourselves, those beliefs, they create stories, and those are the dangerous. That's where it becomes really dangerous.
How long do you think it took you, each of you, to realize that the fear was not going to come true, from the moment that you started to implement the new plan to the point where you made the realization?
Ooh, Pam, you go ahead.
So I was introduced to this thing called the story loop. And so it starts with an event happens, and then within 0 to 7 seconds, we react to it. And the reaction is automatic. It has nothing to do with our brain. It's just like we physically react to it. And then from there, within 10 seconds, we've created a judgment. And that's when our brain steps in. Once a judgment's created, we create a story. And so if you let the story sit, and then through confirmation bias, your brain will seek out things to validate the story. And then you create this new belief. And then you have this loop that you're just in this loop. And so to stop it is if you stop at the story and then take it right back up to it. This is an event that happened. What evidence do I have? Like physical evidence. If I was put on a stand in front of my peers, What evidence do I have that what I'm saying right now, the story I'm building, is actually true? And if I can do that, then I'm like, okay, this is just a story. This is not real. This is just me telling a story. And then I want to dig into, okay, why did I react this way? And what was my judgment? How did I create this judgment? Because then we can find our patterns that we've built and created over the years, and we can start doing that pattern interrupt where we're like, okay, now we don't react like we used to those events that happen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I do it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that method. I started with just awareness. And I think that for being so aware, I'm going to put that in like air quotes, aware, I felt like I did lots of personal development, lots of different courses and things like that. So I felt like I was already aware of what was happening. But what I realized was that I cut my feelings out of that equation completely. And I was more surgical on, like, these are the general beliefs that people have. And I'd work in different areas like money or relationships or like whatever, but not me as an individual. And what am I thinking most of the time? So just starting to get aware. And what I noticed first was that when I woke up in the morning, I was already anxious. I was already in that scarcity pattern before my feet hit the floor. So I really started to just get curious about that. What am I anxious about? Like, I'm sitting here on my bed, first time I noticed it. What am I anxious about? And it's like, I should have done more. And following that pattern, like, what should you have done? It's 6 o'clock in the morning. I should have done more. But what tangibly, what should you have done, Jody Lynn? What should you have done already this morning at 6 a.m.? I don't know more. And that's when I really started to realize that it was the beliefs of, I should have done this or I should have done that. And I was shooting all over myself. And I think that helped me see the context and see that this was a pattern and things like that. But for the settling of my nervous system, because I was always like, I got to get up early. I had a list of 5 things that I would do. I would read 10 pages. I would read my goals. I would, whatever, work out. I had all this daily 5 from John Maxwell that was converted for our corporation. And there was a contact goal in there and stuff like that. And so like I had to do these things before whatever time. And then I had to get to the office before 9 a.m., which is interesting because I didn't have an appointment at 9 a.m. because I didn't like booking appointments that early. A lot of people are working, whatever. I just want to become a human in the morning and not have to go right into technical details at 9 a.m. So never really had a 9 a.m. appointment. So what would I need to be there for? Like, really? And then getting into the belief system of like, oh, I need to make calls, or I should be at the office, or this or that. And I could really see all of these things floating around. But it probably took a couple of months of serious work of calming that nervous system piece and being like, right now, when I woke up this morning, I put my feet on the floor, I'm safe. I'm good. There is nothing that needs to be done in this moment except for like a big bear hug to Jody Lynn and calm my nervous system. So that probably took me a couple of months to get into the nervous system of somebody that was calm so that I could wake up in the morning and not feel that anxiety, that scarcity first thing. Yeah.
It's not quick. That's for sure. It takes a long time.
Well, and it was a pattern that I built over, a really long time too. This is how I would do things. This is the things that I was thinking about, whether it was conscious or completely unconscious. Like, I ran this pattern for a long time, and there was good things in it too. I mean, I'm a really hard worker. That's not a bad thing. No. I was just unbalanced. And so learning that it's okay. Like, some of these skills are still viable and wonderful skills. And I don't need to like throw the baby out with the bathwater. I can keep certain things. I just need to have better boundaries, and I need to have more time for me, more for me, instead of all the other things that I was taking care of.
Yeah.
It's interesting. If you guys were describing your respective experiences, try saying that 3 times. As you were describing that, I was thinking about my own experience, and I was recalling what it was like the first time I consciously set an intention with the new tools that I was starting to learn. And the intention in my particular case had more to do with the letting go piece. It was trusting that something was going to happen. I vividly recall what it was like those first few days. I think it was actually for more than a few days, because I was working at home, and I would go into my office at home, and I would literally sit at the computer, looking at the screen, waiting for something to happen, in dread, because I was convinced it wasn't going to happen, and so everything was going to fall apart.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And I could spend hours just sitting there in dread, waiting for nothing to happen because it was going to be a complete disaster.
Yeah.
And then something would happen. Oh my God, I got to do something.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's so interesting.
Different ways we set ourselves up like this.
And torture ourselves.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, our brain seeks out the easiest path. And if we've already got a pathway in our brain, it's going to just lead towards that because it's what it knows. And so trying to forge those new pathways, that's the work. And it is conscious work every day. What does it take? Anywhere from 21 to 60 days to create a new habit. That's not something you're going to do overnight.
And as it turns out, the actual statistic, it can be 60 days, but it's typically 90 to 100.
Yeah. I think it's 90. Yeah. Yeah. So it's not something I think people.
It doesn't happen quickly.
No. And we want instant gratification.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we want. We want
90 days? What are you talking about? I'm talking about 90 minutes. I mean,
yeah. Yeah. We just want it to be instant. I mean, everything is instant. We get data instantly, but those type of things, it takes work, and it's hard work because it's a lot of
too long. How about 90 seconds? I might be able to tolerate that one.
Wouldn't that be nice if we could change a habit in 90 seconds?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that's the other interesting part, because when you've been doing the work for a while, you get better at it. Mm-hmm. So you actually do get to the point where you can make a change in 90 seconds.
Yeah.
This doesn't happen the first time. It happens the 175th time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you have to go through the first 174 to get there.
Yeah. I love it.
You know what? I've been thinking about this thought of the time that it takes and the instant gratification. I've been thinking about it in terms of like being connected to our world and food. That's kind of where the thought started, of like how disconnected we are because we can push a button and food shows up at our house. Most places, not mine because I live out in the country, but like pretty much anywhere else you can go. Like we stayed in Vancouver around Christmas time. We got stuck in Vancouver after we came back from Hawaii, and it was like, oh, what's Grubhub? What's this? Like we literally got like whiskey, like Pepsi, like 7-Eleven run, like all the things just delivered. And this thought has been mulling around in my mind, which I think is connected to what we're talking about, in that when we have that instant gratification, we miss so much of the connection. So with food, like we're so disconnected. Like we don't grow it anymore. We barely make it anymore. It's, arriving and we haven't even touched it, and we don't even thank it or like we're not a part of that connection, that process. Mm-hmm. And I think when it comes to developing ourselves, our psyche, our consciousness, and changing these patterns, we have to have that connection. It's all about coming back to ourselves and really understanding who we are and what is driving us, and knowing that we can change, both of those things, but coming back to who is that? Who do I want to be? And how am I being right now? And I think that's why we can't get it instantaneously, is because we're meant to have that deeper connection with ourselves. And if it came instantaneously, it wouldn't be as sweet.
No, it definitely would not be as sweet.
Yeah.
No, I agree. And it is all about when you start doing the work, when you start slowing down and allowing yourself to do it, you do start doing the things that you stopped doing. So I very rarely eat out. I don't think I ever order food, and I love to cook. And so, and I used to have my groceries delivered. I did that when I was busy and I was like, I don't have time to go to the grocery store, but now I enjoy going and picking out the meals for the week. And I love to cook. And so, but I didn't for a long time because I was so busy doing things.
Yeah. Everything else was more important.
Yeah. Everything was more important. And so, and then taking the time to enjoy the food when you eat it.
Yes.
Scarfing it down and not really enjoying it and connecting with it. And so there's so much to be said about being more present and in every part of your life.
It's interesting to me that you mentioned food because I literally went grocery shopping today.
There you go.
And I mentioned that because you mentioned how much you love to cook. I don't actually love to cook. I love to eat, so I cook for that.
Yeah.
Because eating is important. You kind of need to get through the day and so forth. But I don't really love to cook. I do it. I don't do frozen dinners or anything like that. I actually do some basic cooking, but I don't love it. And one of the things I had to learn was to not only go to the grocery store, but to find a way to enjoy the process. Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm 69. I'm an older guy. I'm still the fastest guy in the store. I mean, literally, I fly through the store. And I'm tall too. I got long legs, so I can fly through the store pretty quickly. Yeah. Right. So I kind of scare people as I'm running by. I really do move that quickly. But nevertheless, I've gotten to the point now where I go to pick up the strawberries, like, oh wow, those strawberries look really good. I take a moment to enjoy the strawberries for a second, and then I go look, smell them. Ooh, those tomatoes are looking really good. I'll take this one. I'll take that one. I'll take that one, and actually enjoy the process. I didn't do that before. Yeah. So even if you're not somebody who likes cooking, you can still get enjoyment out of it. How about that?
Absolutely. And I'm an introvert, so I don't necessarily love talking to people. It's not like a natural. It's not where I get my energy from. And so when the pandemic happened and we couldn't talk to anybody, we had a mask on, it was like heaven. I was like, yes. And so, but in my job, coaching and speaking, you kind of teaches you to come out of the shell. So now anytime I leave my house, it's how many people can I have a meaningful connection with wherever I'm at? And that has been absolute game changer in my life. And I will talk to anybody. It drives my kids crazy. Absolutely drives them crazy because Mom, don't talk to everybody. And I will talk to everybody in the parking lot, when I'm behind the counter, wherever, because I just think one of the things that we're missing is just slowing down and appreciating the other humans that are totally walking around with us. And it's fun to see how people respond to it. Yes. I have very rarely had a grumpy person that didn't want to have a conversation. Most everybody lights up and they're like, oh, somebody's wants to talk to me. And that's been a lot of fun. And I think it would be fun for people to have that more intention when we leave their house, who they can connect with. It helps you slow down because we're all on our phones. Nobody's talking to each other because we're all face down on our phones, in line, wherever we're at dinner. Everybody's got their screens in front of their face instead of having communication. Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that too, because I'm a walker. I regularly walk, especially during the warm weather. In fact, that's my big challenge during the winter. What am I going to do? It's snowy. It's cold out there. I don't want to go walk. But during the warm weather, when I'm out walking, in most cases, I like to acknowledge people as I'm passing, because we have one of these rails to trails things near where I live. So, it's just a nice, easy walking path. And there was one particular period of time where I was consciously practicing smiling at everybody, mainly just to get myself to do it, to kind of change my own behavior. Yeah. And I did that for a while, and then I kind of forgot about it. And then one day I'm walking along the path, and all these people are smiling at me, and I'm saying, why are they smiling at me? Doing? And then it finally occurred to me. I got out my phone and put it in selfie mode and looked, and sure enough, I had a smile on my face, and I didn't even know it. Wow! I was aware that I had the smile on my face. So for me, that does two things. First of all, it reinforces what you were saying, Pamela, about how important it is to connect with other people, but also how when you do that regularly, it comes back to you in ways you didn't even plan on.
Oh, 100%. 100%. My business partner and we do a trip to Mexico every year, and we do a Think Week, which we got from, I think, the idea from Bill Gates, where he gets away for a week, no technology, and it's just a week of creating and stuff. And that's where our podcast birthed from. And we always do a celebration dinner at the very end. And we are sitting in this restaurant. It's all glass, looks out on the ocean. There's palm trees around us. I mean, it is gorgeous. And we're sitting there talking, and we were like the first ones in the restaurant. Then everybody starts to come in and it fills up. And we both looked around the room, and there wasn't a single family that was having a conversation. Every single person was sitting there on their phone. Well, then this family comes in, mom and dad and a son and daughter, and they sit down and they are laughing and having conversations. There's not a phone out. And it was so unusual because of what we're used to seeing everybody doing that we actually went over and had a conversation with them about, we're like, you have raised your kids well, that because they were teenagers. How many teenagers want to sit at a table and talk to their parents?
Yeah.
Not very many. And so it was really cool. So I think we've just lost the art of connection, even with our own family and friends, because we're so tied to the instant gratification of whatever, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, Snapchat, whatever the newest thing is that people are watching and scrolling.
Totally. Yeah.
I would even argue that we're kind of swinging the pendulum back the other way, because I'm seeing it more and more, and not any given age group either. I mean, I'm seeing kids not having the phones out. I see it fairly regularly now. It's kind of a surprise compared to where it was, say, 10 years ago. But now, I mean, it's actually pretty unusual to see the kids with. I mean, they all got the phones. They all got them in their back pocket. You can see they got them. They just aren't hanging out on them,
which is awesome.
This is really great.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that comes back. That would be,
I think it is,
really nice.
Yeah, I think it has to swing back.
Yeah,
I think what's happening is people are really recognizing how valuable the connection is, because they've been lacking it for so long.
Yeah.
And somewhere along the way, they decided to just put the phone away for a moment, and they said, "Oh, well, this is actually pretty cool."
Yeah.
That's a breakthrough when you have that. That's a huge breakthrough. But I think a breakthrough's happening a lot.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll start it. We'll start the trend.
Okay.
Right.
Well, let's talk about you got a book that just came out called Meaningful Success.
Yes.
How did that come about?
So the first book, The Quiet Gift, was my story from 7 to through college. So this book is my business partner who I do the podcast with. And so this is her story as an adult, kind of in that rat race where, Jody Lynn, you can probably relate to it, where you've got the titles, the income, all of the things, but you feel completely just kind of empty. Like, what is the purpose for all of this success that I've created? And so, yeah, you just feel like what's missing here? And she was married, 2 kids, and she just got to this point in her professional life. And so it's a fable, kind of like The Quiet Gift, where there's a main character who goes through a journey. So it's very much mirrors her adult life, but then it's got some added stuff in it to make it more enjoyable to read. But she's got 6 principles in there on creating meaningful success. And so, so we're excited about that one, and we're going to be promoting all of those key principles, and so we're going to be talking about it at our 2-day event for sure.
I love that you doing that book, and the previous book, apparently you also did the same way. You did a nonfiction book in fictional form.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah. And that's a funny story how that came about, because we've got our podcast, and I don't know what we were doing. And I know, I was at a National Speakers Association conference, and everybody there had a book. And so I call Natalie and I said, we need to do a book. Like, okay, well, what should we do? And I'm like, I don't know. We'll talk about it. And so because our podcast is about resilience, we're like, well, let's do a guide to resilience, because we've interviewed so many people over the last 4 years that we've got plenty of stories, blah, blah, blah. And so we started writing it, and we got to about 60 pages. And then I just stalled, and I was like, this doesn't feel good to me. Like, I'm not excited about this. And one of my coaching clients sent me a gift in the mail, and it was a book, and the book was called The Energy Bus. And dyslexia, I like to do Audible. And for some reason it wasn't on Audible, and I just had this book. I'm like, all right, I'm going to have to read it sometime. And so I was like, I'm just going to read it. Well, it's written by the author Gordon. I'm going to choke that. I think it is. Anyway, he's got a whole series of books, and they're written like a story, but they all have some sort of meaning in it. And so I read it, and it was a short book. It was super easy to read. And I called Natalie, and I knew she was heading on vacation. She always takes 3 weeks off during the holidays, because it's kind of slow time for us. And I was like, hey, what do you say about scrapping that book and let's write something that's more like a story? And she goes, well, I don't know how to do that. I'm like, well, I don't either. But I'm like, come get this book before you go out of town and read it while you're on vacation. And let me take a stab at writing something that's like a story. And so I had all my journals from that I had written about my childhood. So I'm like, okay, so I think I spent January and wrote The Quiet Gift. And it was just that flowed pretty easy. And I just wanted it to make it feel like a story. And so, yeah. And so that was kind of fun. This next book is going to be harder for me because it's more my adult and my kids are alive and, and my talking about an abusive marriage and the cancer and all that stuff is going to be a little bit more tricky, I shall say. So,
I mean, if you want to have a challenge, that's a good challenge to have.
It's a good challenge. And so I'm part of a inspired writing community. And so we've been doing free writing like 2 hours a week leading up to the retreat, which is in July. I think it's like the week of July 10th or something. And so then it's all day for 4 days writing. And then we go through editing and all that stuff. So it should be interesting.
And you mentioned the upcoming 2-day event, the Success Summit. Talk about that for a moment.
Yeah, so the Success Summit, we like to do events that are for our listeners and then some of our guests that we've had on the podcast. And so we did our very first in-person live event back in January, and it was great. People flew to Colorado and were able to be in a room with us for the day, and we're going to do it again next January. But we wanted to do some sort of a mid-year event. And so it's called the Success Summit. And so I had come up with a time bender framework because as a coach, and I mean, Jody Lynn, you probably know this. I mean, when you work so much, you feel like your time gets away from you. So you're like, how can I do all the things I want to do when I've got only 24 hours in a day? And so we go through the 3 invisible drains, which is decision fatigue, role residue, and proving loops. And so each speaker that we brought in is in one of those invisible drains. And so we've got an AI expert that's going to talk about how you can use Claude and other AI to basically streamline your business. And then we've got a person that I told you, she created an app that can actually pick your wardrobe for you, meaning that you categorize everything that's in your closet, and then it'll create an avatar of you, and then it'll pull all the clothes that you already have, and it'll create all these outfits for you so that you use all the clothes in your closet instead of just the 20% that we end up wearing, while the 80% sits there. And then we have a breathwork healer. She's a somatic healer, and she was a corporate exec in the health industry, health tech. She oversaw for multiple hospitals and hit burnout and walked away. And so now she works with VPs and executives in the hospitals that for their nervous system regulation. And so she's going to talk. And then we've got another person that's kind of a health nut who's got like a 4-chamber process that she's going to walk us through. Natalie's going to go through the book and the 6 principles. And I'm going to do laser coaching throughout it and talk about protection, which is one of the frameworks in Time Bender. So yeah, it's 2 days. It's 9 to 3 on Saturday and 9 to 2 on Sunday. So it's all day, both days, completely complimentary because there are tools that people can actually walk away with. They'll get a workbook and everything to go along with it. So yeah.
If somebody wants to do that, how do they do it?
How do they can register? They can go to my website. So PamelaCass.com. You can go to my website and there's actually a countdown timer and there's a button you can click to register. So you can get yourself registered for it and you just show up virtually. And so it's easy. You'll get all the material. My website also has links to both books if anyone wants to purchase the books. The Quiet Gift is an Audible book. That was a hilarious story on how that came about.
Did you do your own Audible?
No, I was going to. I was going to, but I had a girl reach out to me on Facebook who I went to high school with.
Really?
And she was one of the popular girls. And if you read my book, I was not a popular girl. And I totally looked up to her, and she does Audible books. And she goes, "I'd love to do it for you." And so having her do it and listening to the book read in a familiar voice is kind of fun to hear. So
totally.
Yeah. But also talk about vulnerability, letting somebody that you admired in high school read your story, knowing that they didn't know what my story was. So that was, that was really interesting. So, yeah. So
what was that experience like? I mean, because like you said, somebody that you know is doing your Audible reading, so there's a familiarity there for her.
Yeah. So it was very cool. Yeah.
When you're listening to it, does it change the way that you experienced your own book?
No, it almost feels like an out-of-body experience.
Oh, okay.
You're just like, oh my gosh, that's my story. It was interesting. It was really interesting to have my mom and dad read it too. And it was really interesting. My mom got upset with me.
Really?
Like she didn't talk to me for about a month. I hope she won't listen to this podcast. I'm sure she won't. But she got upset for about a month because she felt like the struggles I had growing up were her fault. And I was like, no, it had absolutely nothing to do with what she did. It just was this was my perception as a child growing up with dyslexia. So, so that was an interesting take from it. So, and then the people that reached out that, family that I haven't talked to in 20, 30 years, just because they live across the country are like, oh my gosh, I read your book. And can we set up a call to talk about it? And so it's been a fun connector.
Yeah.
And then my coaching clients that have read it and will reach out and say, oh my gosh, this resonated with me. I was that kid. I felt invisible because I had terrible acne and I didn't want anybody to see me. And so it was really interesting how many people could resonate with the story. So it was fun.
Yeah. That's wonderful. And I hope that on the other side of that silence for a month with your mom, that there was some deeper connection and some healing that came out of it.
Yeah. And it was funny. My son's like, well, you should apologize. I'm like, what? And I was like, sweetie, this is her journey. She needs to go through it. And then when she's ready, and then it was fine. It was like nothing happened. So I was like, okay, I guess we're good. So yeah.
Great example of allowing, though, because that would be some people's reaction. I got to do something to fix this thing. And you said, no, I really don't have anything to do to fix it.
No, this is her journey. And I was trying to explain that to my son. I was like, everybody's got to walk their own journey. And I'm not going to apologize for the story I wrote because that's what I felt as a child. And so that was my story. I can't apologize for it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you could have, but you didn't. Congratulations.
I could have.
Yeah.
I did not.
Powerfully standing in your own power.
Yes, that's what I'm doing.
Well, speaking of standing in your own power, since we're starting to run out of time here, why don't you tell people how to learn more about standing in your own power and how do they reach out to find this person who is standing in her own power? Because
So easy, go to my website, PamelaCass.com. My cell number is right at the top. You can text me, you can call me, you can book a call with me in my site. You can see the topics that I speak about. If you want to jump on my coaching calendar, I always do a complimentary call with people because I'm not a fit for everybody. And so I'll do a complimentary call with people. So that's really all encompassed, and it has all the links for all my social media and everything. So I'm always up to something. And so is my business partner. We're always doing something.
It's very old school, but I love that you feature your phone number up there. I mean, there are a lot of people would not want to do that.
I want people to be able to get a hold of me if they want to get a hold of me. And so.
Not bad for somebody who, because I was also an introvert, and not bad for an introvert to be willing to do that. That's pretty good.
Yeah. It's taken a lot of years and a lot of meditation. It's a quiet retreat. It's changed me.
Yeah. I can tell. I get it. And I understand what that's like. And of course, when you come out the other side of that kind of thing, it really does change you, but it also changes the way you feel about you. That's the biggest change.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, we have a couple other things we'd like to do at the end of every podcast. First and foremost, I always turn to Jody Lynn because, well, you've got a sense of what she's like. She's also, I don't know if you noticed, she's a consummate note taker. She's taking notes throughout the entire thing. And she ties everything together beautifully. So Jody Lynn, how do you tie this one together today?
Oh my goodness. Well, the first thought that I had about your silent retreat is, how can I not write things down? I write everything down. I don't know if I can go because I need to write because I am a note taker. But all the things, I wrote a page of notes I find that everything just deepens when I write things down. But I think the message is to tie all of this together. You know, you've beautifully displayed how your beliefs are driving everything and how we have an opportunity to change that. And you are a living model, an example of not only how to do it, but that you can, and you can continue forward and have this beautiful, rich life, even when you've had really difficult things happen to you. And I think that's the most notable for me. So thank you for the chat today.
It was my pleasure. It's fun.
Beautiful stuff. I love it. One other thing that I like to do before we wrap things up, this started, I've been doing it for a few years now. I keep saying it every time about, well, I just started this a little while ago. Actually, no, I started about 5 or 6 years ago. But that's it. I say it that way because it's not something I've ever heard of anyone else doing, which is part of the reason I like to do it. I'm kind of an iconoclast. But also it taps into something that I really noticed in a big way, which is, we live in this 21st century. You and you're in Colorado. I'm in Connecticut. She's in Canada. We're talking in each other's living room. That's a thing that wasn't happening 30 years ago with the payphones. It just was not going to be there. It's a wonderful thing. But because of that, we have this new way of outreaching, right? We are able to share stuff with people, and we do so in many times in large numbers, and people that we don't even know what they're doing with it, how they're using it, and so forth. And that was the part that I noticed. I said, we're helping people. We don't even know how we're helping them. In fact, we're not getting credit for it. I thought, well, that needs to change. So that's why I always wrap up the show this way. I say, Pam, on behalf of those people you've never met, never seen, and never will meet, and never will see, who you've been helping in ways you didn't even know about because you're willing to share your message, on their behalf, thank you for what you are doing, because you're making a difference in this world.
Thank you. And I would say the same for the two of you.
Oh, thank you
so much. Yeah. The level of appreciation that's involved in it it's something I've become more and more appreciative of every time that we do this a little bit, because we don't recognize it enough. This is important stuff. There are a lot of people like yourself, like us, like other guests on the show, who are out there giving and not getting credit for it. And I'm saying, that's got to change.
Yeah. We
have to give ourselves the credit first. We have to recognize it in others. I mean, this is how society gets better.
Yes.
Complain about society not getting, this is how you get better. This is how it gets better.
Yeah.
So that's why I love doing this.
Yeah, I agree. Love it.
Thank you very much. Thank you to our podcast listeners everywhere. And we will see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye.